no girl, no girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So, for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me. Well, and I am so happy to be away from all the muck.
I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles.
Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life. And I hope there's some justice for those now women, right? We see them standing up in front of microphones in D.C. What they went through is just unimaginable, I think.
In today's episode of This is the World, it's come out that in the certain files, which I'm not going to name because who knows what these apps are censoring, but in the files, Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein allegedly had a falling out because Bill Gates got STDs from Russian girls and then wanted antibiotics to discreetly pass along to Melinda. And I just can't stop thinking about the fact that if these people had no money or power, and I know that's a big if, they do, and it matters in this context. But we would see them as total buffoons. I mean, they are buffoons, but they would just be total degenerate buffoon.
Melinda Gates saying that her divorce was partly due to Bill Gates' connection with Jeffrey Epstein isn't shocking. A certain level of power, it's not just about infidelity or money, it's about proximity. Who you associate with says something about your values, and women are often taught to tolerate discomfort, silence, and moral compromise for the sake of the bigger picture. This wasn't just a marriage ending, it was essentially a boundary being drawn.
Melinda Gates just spoke out about her husband and Epstein in the Rachel Martin podcast.
Questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it. Those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
I agree. Do you?
To admit that Bill Gates had a side piece for over a decade or two, I can't remember, and she knew of the side piece, and he took monthly vacations with the side piece. And then now she's saying she's sad about the whole Epstein thing, and she had to leave her marriage. She wanted to leave her marriage. She had to leave the foundation. She didn't say anything, right? She didn't say anything. But anyways, my theory, as a thinking human, I'm allowed to have my own thoughts on shit. And my theory is she knew everything was going to come crashing and she had to jump ship quick because, yeah. I think she knows a bunch of shit that she was okay with for years. That's my theory. She knows a bunch of shit that she was okay with for years.
Melinda, Bill Gates' ex-wife, has sat down and spoken in an interview, and she has disclosed exactly what she's feeling ever since this new trove of documents has been released by the DOJ. And in it, she states no girl should ever be put in the situation that her ex-husband and J.E. put upon them. So here's the interview.
No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages, those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So, for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
And I am so happy to be away from all the muck.
I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles.
Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life. And I hope there's some justice for those now women, right? We see them standing up in front of microphones in DC. What they went through is just unimaginable, I think.
Very disturbing stuff. As we know, when Melinda Gates and Bill Gates announced their divorce, when they were talking about the causes of this divorce, one of the causes was apparently affairs that Bill Gates had, and specifically his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein that upset Melinda Gates. Before we get to an interview with her in 2022 with Gayle King, I just want to say Bill Gates has released a statement. He says that the claims in the Jeffrey Epstein email are absolutely absurd and completely false. So that is his statement. Some people haven't made statements yet. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he's at least made a statement, not a defense at all. It's still horrifying, but I'm shocked really by the number of people that have not made statements. It's kind of surprising to me.
Well, they think their money is, and their money might insulate them from consequence here.
It's also surprising to me, given the emails that have come out and a lot of these people that have been silent. What were they telling themselves? Were they telling themselves that these emails would never come out? Were they just pretending and trying to self-soothe and tell themselves that no one would find out? I mean, what I really would like to know the logic. I'll never find out, but
Yeah.
I'm very curious about what the logic is there. But Melinda Gates did sit down with Gayle King in 2022, and she specifically talked about Jeffrey Epstein.
You know, it was also widely reported that Bill had a friendship or business or some kind of contact with Jeffrey Epstein, and that you were not, that was very upsetting to you. Did that play a role in the divorce at all in this process?
Yeah, as I said, it's not one thing, it was many things. But I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, no.
And you made that clear to him?
I made that clear to him. I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time.
Did you?
Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for those young women. It's awful.
You felt that the moment you walked in? I didn't realize
was awful.
that. Yeah. And you shared that with Bill, and he still continued to spend time with him?
Any of the questions remaining about what Bill's relationship there was, those are for Bill to answer.
Okay.
But I made it very clear how I felt about him.
We knew that part of the reason Melinda Gates divorced Bill Gates was because he was on Epstein Island. But the new Epstein file allege that Epstein contacted Bill Gates and let him know that he got an STD from the sex workers that he'd slept with on the island. And then Bill Gates was trying to secretly give medication to Melinda to cure the STD without telling her that he gave it to her. They were married for 27 years. She deserves every penny she got in that divorce.
Melinda French Gates appearing on the NPR Wildcard podcast. That is an example of reputation spillover. I'm getting ready to speak. I'm doing a virtual keynote. Honestly, all I want to do is go through the list of people caught up in the Epstein files dump. And for Melinda Gates, this is triggering reputation spillover, which always comes out in a crisis. Crises rarely are isolated. And it's another example of how public sentiment forms and then it hardens. If you look at Minneapolis, the public sentiment there is solid. It's really hard to advocate on the side of the administration. I think the same thing is happening with with the Epstein files. Now, Melinda French Gates, I want to use her full name now, what she does is quite constrained in a good way. When a woman goes through a divorce, particularly one where she has been wronged, desire to publicly accuse and to publicly share to everyone how wronged they were takes great restraint. But she certainly did this. Like, she didn't accuse him, she didn't speculate, and she's definitely not defending him. But what she is doing, acknowledging pain, she is also redirecting the accountability. The fact that she's calling out her husband is important because it's not just her husband, it's really everyone who's wrapped up in it. But she is bringing an emotional credibility to the crisis. It's the last thing in the world that Bill Gates wants, honestly. If it isn't bad enough for him, this makes it worse. But she doesn't do it in a very spiteful way. It's a very secondary narrative because it shows that the crisis isn't just isolated to Epstein and the people caught up with Epstein. It's the other lives, that residual effect and how it ripples to other people. So a takeaway for communicators, maybe I will bring this up in my talk. I think I'm going to bring it up. Exposure with the lack of response. The longer Bill Gates says nothing, I don't think he'll ever say anything. It's an accusation that just sits out there. And silence is not neutral. It's not. You are assumed guilty or wrong until you say something otherwise. It's the emotional authority. People who can bring in the emotion that resonates with people can connect to it. That's who wins the narrative game. That's who wins. For Melinda here, no spite, just emotion and connection to other women. It's pretty smart, pretty brilliant.
Epstein had a way of sexually compromising people. Is that what Melinda was warning you about?
No. I mean, no, I had dinner with him, and that's all.
And that you regret the relationship, the acquaintance?
That I had dinner with him.
Mm. And the relationship between the foundation and Epstein?
There never was any relationship at any time.
Now, one of the issues that's dogged you is that of your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you regret the relationship that you maintained with him against Melinda's advice and wishes?
Oh, I've said that you're going way back in time, but yeah,
new audience.
I will say for the, over 100 time, yeah, I shouldn't have had dinner.
So this lady knew. She knew about everything that was going on there. She got an STD from her husband who visited an island that was owned by a convicted pew-pew. She knew. She knew. At the same time, part of me is like, yeah, what was she supposed to do? Put herself in danger by disclosing this to the government, who already knew, was sitting on all this information, and they did nothing. But she knew. So I don't buy this damage control, talking points, I feel so terrible for the victim. She doesn't feel terrible. She just doesn't want to be associated with this. Just don't make her a hero. I don't blame her, but don't make her a hero. She knew.
From this latest Epstein release, it allegedly appears that Bill Gates got an STD in 2013 and asked Jeffrey Epstein to get him medication so that he could give it to his wife, Melinda Gates, without her knowing. This is not shocking to me, because I know that anybody who tries to pretend that they're very virtuous and good is usually the exact opposite of that. But it does show this lack of appreciation of bodily autonomy and agency, something that I think we all should have known. Anyways, I'm going to post the email here. I'm not going to read it because it is so super long. This email is a draft of what Jeffrey Epstein sent to himself of what he was going to say to Bill Gates. It is all 100% alleged. It could be just simply blackmail, but usually where there's smoke, there's fire. A good rule of thumb, though, is people who talk about being good, they're usually bad.